Welcome to Koto Helicopter News, second episode of the long holiday. We are still mourning. We are still sending our condolences to the family of the late Baba Raila Amolo Odinga. As a nation, we have lost. We have decided to look at the question. Raila Odinga was born in 1945. How was he born? How was he registered as a child of the late Jaramogi Oginga Odinga? Everybody is required by the law, that is chapter 149 of the laws of Kenya. You must have a birth certificate immediately one is born. So the questions that come about are, how then is the process of acquiring a birth certificate? The law imposes whoever gives birth to register that birth. Those who give birth at home, it is mandatory that you go to the area chief to register a birth that did not occur at a hospital. The chief will issue you with a birth notification. That is a government document that shows that one has been born. It is criminal not to register a birth of a child. Number two, any child born in a hospital, in a maternity, the maternity must issue a birth notification. The two institutions, that's the chief and the hospital, once the birth notification has been issued, you take it, it generates a birth certificate. The details to be captured in the birth certificate are gotten from the mother or the person reporting the death. It must be the truth, and it is criminal if you give false information about the details of the child who has been born. What does Section 12 of the Act say? Let me read it verbatim. Entry of a father in a register. Listen very well. No person shall be entered in the register as the father of any child, except either at the joint request of the father and the mother. That's number one. If a mother cannot enter the details that this is Omari's child, unless the father and the mother make that request jointly. So this issue of somebody going to hospital and says, Kenyan is the father, Cyrus is the father, Ojamong is the father, without that father's consent is illegal. The father must jointly request to be included in the birth certificate. Let's proceed. It goes number two, or upon the production to the registrar of such evidence as he may require that the father and the mother were married according to the law. The second law requires that if the father's consent is not there, a marriage certificate must be produced. Remember, Koto Helicopter taught you that there is now no marriage without a marriage certificate. If you have done an African customary marriage, you must get a marriage certificate from the registrar of marriages. If you are married under Muslim law, you must produce a marriage certificate for the birth certificate. If you are married in the civil the AG's office, or you are married in church, that marriage certificate must be produced. So, if you do not have a marriage certificate, the registrar cannot register the father without a marriage certificate. That is the law. Number 3, it proceeds. It therefore means if you are not married, the registrar will put XXXX on the part of our father. If you are married and the father is present, he will go and say, put my name there. Or if you are married, a marriage certificate is enough. So many of the birth certificates you see where they are written father XXX is because the mother was not married or the father of the child did not put this claim there. Then section 14 talks about the change of a name of a child. There are women who gave birth to sons and called them Kimani. They called them Mogaka. They called them Evans. Now Baba has died. You want to change the name of your son to reflect and call that son Raila Amolo Odinga Jr. What is the process? Can you change the name of your child and yet the birth certificate indicates that? Yes. Under section 14, you can change the name of the child so long as is within 2 years. The law allows you to change the name of your child so long as it's before 2 years. So those ones who want to name their children Raila Odinga and your child is below 2 years, you can name your child Raila Odinga. You walk with the father and the mother to the office of the registrar of births, produce the birth certificate, your identification, or your marriage certificate, and apply to say, now my son will be called Raila Amolo Odinga Jr. That is within 2 years. Then the question, is it mandatory to have a birth certificate? Yes. Every child born in this country must have a birth certificate. The birth certificate does not confer citizenship. Any child born in this country, whether it is a foreigner, whether it's an American, whether it's an Israeli, the birth certificate only confirms that this child was born here. So those children will be issued with a birth certificate. If you are a Kenyan and you are born in America, you will be issued a birth certificate from America. You don't get a birth certificate from here. You will go there and you will get that birth certificate. What is the penalty if you decide to put the name of a father who is not the father in the register? The law says that it is a criminal offense and you will be. The penalties are provided for. If you are found guilty, you'll be fined a fine not exceeding 500 shillings or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months. So the fine is 500 shillings. And you will be imprisoned or be imprisoned for 6 months. A simple question. There are women who have children with other men. Then they get married to another man. Then they go and change the name in the birth certificate from what the biological father's name that was there, because he's a deadbeat. He doesn't want to maintain that child. Here is a person who is a new lover, a new husband. He's taking this kid to school. He's paying school fees. He's the one taking this kid to hospital. Then you walk and change the details in the birth certificate to the new man. That is illegal. It is not allowed by law. The man who is taking care of your child is your husband or your boyfriend. He is not the father of that child. There is a biological father. That is the one who must always remain in the birth certificate. Your boyfriend, your new husband, is not the biological father of this child. But if you want the new boyfriend, the new husband, to be the father in the documents, then you'll have to go to what we did in court helicopter, adoption. You have got to go to court, adopt that child together with the father. But remember, the biological father, that deadbeat, must give a consent. So, I have warned many of you, women, if you have put a name on a birth certificate without the consent of the father, it is criminal. Number two, if you change midway because you have been married and you go say, I've lost my birth certificate, I want a new birth certificate, you take an abstract and say the father is so and so, it is a criminal offense. If you want the name of your current husband, your current boyfriend to reflect in the birth certificate, it is only through adoption. That is the law. And lastly, I encourage many mothers who have children below 2 years to go and change the names of the children and call them Raila Amolo Odinga. That marks the second and final episode on the law of births and deaths from Court Helicopter News. Asante sana.